Most of you know what Operation Christmas Child is about, but just in case you don't, we're going to give a little brief overview and then we're going to have a video. But Operation Christmas Child is a ministry through Samaritan's Purse that's run by Franklin Graham. And in 1993, they started packing shoeboxes with small toys, hygiene items, school supplies, and sending them to children in war-torn areas or where there's famine or natural disaster. And every child that gets a shoebox hears the gospel message. And many, many kids, millions of kids, have come to know the Lord through Operation Christmas Child. And tonight we have one of the shoebox recipients that received a shoebox in Rwanda when he was a child. And later on this evening he's going to come give his story and how the shoebox impacted his life. And after the video, Linda Milton is going to come talk to us about how to pack a shoebox and also the journey of a shoebox. But first we're going to have a short video.
Once, in a faraway land, there was a child who was hurting and in need. But one day, that child was given a very special gift in a shoebox. Inside were wonderful things, incredible toys he had never seen before, and something else amazing happened. Through that simple gift, the child heard the gospel and became a disciple of Jesus. And everywhere the child went, he shared his faith with others. So just like that, his entire world was transformed by the love of Jesus Christ. And this is how millions of children discovered good news and great joy through Operation Christmas Child.
This is an explosion of happiness.
There are times when right after they open the gift boxes, the only thing that we can hear is just 5 minutes of screaming. These kids are so excited because they are receiving toys for the very first time.
Who doesn't want a gift? Who doesn't want a present?
The books, it catches their eyes.
It shows them that out there are people who really care about you.
The big impact at the end of the day is lives that are changed. Children are coming to faith in Jesus Christ, and that's what it's all about.
ขอบคุณพระเจ้าที่ให้ของขวัญมาค่ะ
En ese momento pude llegar a aceptar a Dios y ser hijo de Él.
তো মানে আগামী মানে পরবর্তী জীবন যেন ঈশ্বরের পথে চলতে পারো তার জন্য জানিয়েছিল।
Each year, shoeboxes bring hope and joy to millions of children in need.
You know, to raise $1 million anything and to hand out $1 million anything is a big chore. But this year we handed out over 10 million shoeboxes. Can you imagine?
Operation Christmas Child has united believers around the world in a spirit of giving and love.
Operation Christmas Child, right on the shoebox. And you love USA. We love USA.
Packing the shoebox is sending toys and soap and things like that to children, but also the greatest journey introduces them to Jesus Christ.
After children receive the books, they get to go through a 12-lesson discipleship course.
The greatest journey is the real deal because it gets to train and disciple the children that have received the shoeboxes.
So they understand the basic concepts of the Bible. And then to teach them verses. And these verses help them share their faith.
After graduating from the greatest journey, children receive a certificate and a Bible in their own language.
Now I know that I belong to Jesus. All my life is His.
This is what it's all about, evangelism, taking the gospel to another generation.
When the box box ends into the hands of a child. That is not the end.
Operation Christmas Child is creating a ripple that's going around the globe.
So it started with a box, and it's ending with communities and countries being changed.
Just one child, by just one gift.
We've only just begun. There are billions of children who need to come to know Jesus.
You know, these boxes are like a candle. It's a little bit of light that you take into a dark part of the world, and it makes a difference. Isn't this great? Every shoebox is important. Every shoebox touches the life of a child. You know, we couldn't do it without you. And we ask, you know, everybody to pray. Pray for one of the children that's going to get the boxes. Listen, God uses those prayers and He answers prayer. And every year we see millions of children put their faith and trust in Jesus Christ. So thank you. Thank you for your help. Thank you for your support. And listen, keep praying. We need your prayers. The children of the world need your prayers. God bless you.
My name is Linda Milton, and I'm the Church Relations Coordinator for the 4 areas that make up the Greater Lynchburg team. And that is Amherst, Appomattox, Bedford, Campbell County, and the counties associated within those. But I'll basically go anywhere and speak that I'm invited. I do like to talk about shoeboxes. So the age groups are 2 to 4, 5 to 9, and 10 to 14. And the most frequently packed boxes are in that age group of 5 to 9 because everybody thinks that's the easiest to pack for. But we have children on both sides of that need shoe boxes. The 10 to 14-year-old boy is the fewest boxes that are packed at the processing center. So if you don't have a preference about that, we really do need you to pack shoe boxes for the 10 to 14-year-old boy. At the processing center, if it comes tagged with whatever age group, that is not changed. There might be something in it that's taken out that's inappropriate for that age group. It'll go back in the filler and we will put that in another box. But we need a wide assortment of all age groups at 2 to 4, 5 to 8, and 10 to 14. You can use any kind of box. You know, people used to say, well, why all of a sudden do we see these boxes? Well, if you want 8 million shoe boxes in the United States in the fall, you cannot clean out your closet enough in the fall to come up with 8 million shoe boxes. Okay, just not going to happen. So these are available for 24 cents a piece in a carton of 100, and so they lay flat and they're easy to store. And if you don't use them this year, you can use them for next year. You can use a hinge type box, like most of the tennis shoes come in now, like this box. You can use a plastic box. Just buy one that's got enough give in it so that when it's packed, it's not broke. And a boot box, if you use a boot box, it makes it real difficult getting 14 to 18 in a carton at the processing center. So when you think about using an oversized box, just think if you could do 2 boxes instead of that one, and that would give another child an opportunity to meet Jesus, because that's what this box is all about, is an opportunity to meet Jesus. If they let us stand on the street corner in all these countries that's in this map, and they let us proclaim Jesus Christ without this shoebox and stand there and talk, not put us all into jail, that's what we do. But they're not going to let us do that. So their children are so desperate that they're willing to let these boxes come in. And in this video, you saw the little brochure that's on top called The Greatest Gift. That is the introduction to Jesus, and that's why we send the box. Never forget, that's why we send this box, is to introduce a child to Jesus. Okay, so we're going to have a fun activity. So we're going to see how many people's involved in getting a shoebox from here to distribution somewhere in the world. And Andy, may I borrow your son, your youngest son? Would you come up here and stand beside me? I got to give him some instructions, okay? Okay, so we're going to start over here. Miss Sylvia is a shopper. She is a shopper, and she went and got her list of things for her shoe boxes, and she's decided to pack a box. Okay, stand up, Miss Sylvia. Okay, and then comes to Carolyn. She takes that to Carolyn, and Carolyn is at the church, and she's responsible at the church for getting, come on Carolyn, stand up. She is responsible for collecting all the shoe boxes that come into her church and getting them over to the Relay Center. And Twyla there is over at the Relay Center, but I forgot somebody. The gentleman, would you stand up, please? He is the guy with all the muscle carrying all those boxes. Carolyn over to Twyla's Relay Center. Okay, so we have Relay Centers at Amherst Baptist, Memorial United Methodist in Appomattox,
Rustburg.
Rustburg Baptist in Rustburg, Forest Community Church, which used to be the Kirk in Forest. This is the collection center. All those feed into here, and we have
United Methodist in Bedford.
Main Street United Methodist in Bedford, and also Ebenezer Baptist in Nerona. And just this is an announcement. So if you're in any of those and you want to know what the hours are for collection at those relays, there's a piece of paper over there on that table you can take with you. Okay, so we got them to Twyla, and she's a relay center, and she's got this lady right here. Stand up, please. She is the person that's at the relay center filling out the drop-off logs when y'all come in the door. And so then we need about 3 people right here to stand up. These people are responsible for loading the cartons onto the tractor trailers. Okay, so hold that thought. Bring your sons and your son-in-laws with you when you bring those cartons to get those cartons into the truck. The first carton is not too bad. You think, okay, I can get this, but it's about 70 or 80 pounds. When you're over here and you've done the 100th one, okay, well, you're getting shorter every time you lift one of them. Okay, so you gotta have people getting them into the truck. So Donald, stand up. Donald is my truck driver, and he is on his way to Charlotte, and he's driving right along. Okay, so Mark, would you and Dudley stand up? So when they get down there at the processing center, Mark's checking them in, and Dudley's making sure that the paperwork's right. Okay, Dorothy, stand up. So Dorothy and her husband and these next 5 people. Okay, so Dorothy, Marie, you're the end. Okay, so Dorothy is working the processing line, and she's opened the shoe box, and she is taking out the shipping money and dropping it in the lock box. And I got 2 inspectors right here, and they're working on either, well, actually I have 4, but they're working on either side of that, going through the box, making sure you've not put anything inappropriate or food or any liquids or any war items that comes out of there. And then there's a tape gun person, and they hand it to a cartonizer, and they get 14 to 18 in a carton, but if you use this kind of box, we get 23 in a carton. Okay? So why is that important? Missionaries and orphanages and schools order by cartons. So they are guaranteed 14 in a carton. They would like to have 18 in a carton, but if we use all these boxes, we get 23 in a carton. So why is that important? If you order 10 cartons, you're guaranteed 140 kids are going to get a box. But if they get 10 cartons, it's all packed like this, they get 230 kids get a box. Okay? So that's why they've offered so many of these boxes out. Okay, so then the cartonizer, all right, so this gentleman in the yellow, he is opposite of the cartonizer. She shoves him a full carton. He sets it on that conveyor, and boom, down it goes. Okay, sir, stand up. He is the person who's doing the scan, the last scan before it goes on the truck. Okay, where's that truck going? That truck's going to Mexico. Okay, Jimmy, stand up. Jimmy is the truck driver, and he's going all the way where he can go. He's getting the boxes. He's driving the boxes. He's all the way down there. He's getting to the right country, pulls into there. And, okay, Miss Julia, stand up. She is the custom inspector at the state line, if you want to say, wherever she's going. She's got to have a custom inspector. Jackie, stand up. Jackie is the person that says, I am here to claim those boxes. I need those boxes for the children at such and such orphanage somewhere. Okay, Gail, stand up. Gail is the head mistress at the orphanage, and she works with Jackie to get her boxes. And Jackie, let's see, Pastor, stand up. Jeff, right? Warren. Reggie. Okay, Reggie Warren. Okay, Reggie Warren, okay. She works with Reggie. Reggie, come up here. Reggie works with Gail, and Reggie has shoe boxes, and he's got an assembly, and you all the assembly, and guess what he's going to do? He's going to hand this box to this young man. What's your name? Zion. And Zion is going to get an introduction to Jesus. Now, before you give that box away, look at how many people it takes to get a shoe box to a child. Okay, Pastor, hand Zion his box.
I think Joe, you're up. Shoebox folding contest.
All right. We're good. Everybody hear me? Do you want to use the microphone?
Yeah, use the mic.
All right, everybody hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to see how much you've been paying attention here. We're going to ask you some trivia questions. I'm going to have two teams. I'm going to have a scorekeeper. We're going to have two teams sitting right here, two teams of three. But first, we're going to ask a question first to see how much everybody's paying attention. Alex here, when you get to talking to him, you'll find out he is not from the United States. What country is Alex from? Is it A, West Virginia?
That's rough.
His English is too good for that.
Hey, I'm from
For
West
the record, my dear wife is from West Virginia.
I do have all my teeth.
Okay. Okay, so we figured that's probably not the right answer. Second choice B, is he from Ethiopia, C, Rwanda, or D, none of the above? What'd you say?
I want C.
Rwanda, okay, very good.
Okay, she gets
What
a
does she
prize.
get, Jim?
Prizes.
Oh, nice.
She also gets to pick.
Empty shoebox. An empty shoebox.
Bigger? I got bigger.
What? Yeah, she picks the team.
You also have another obligation as the prize winner. You get to pick the participants from each team. The only thing is, we ask that, because if you are an Operation Christmas Child volunteer, we would like to have people who are not regular volunteers, year-round volunteers, because they would know all the answers. So, yeah, we have the
non-regular volunteers stand up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the non-regular volunteers stand up, and then pick your pick three from each team, right?
Okay. This young man right here. One. That's one team.
Oh, that's not okay. That's good.
Tell them where to sit.
Okay, all those who have been picked. All those who have been picked. Grab a chair up here.
One. Two.
And Carson.
Is that you? I think she picked you. Her.
Then we need a scorekeeper. Any volunteers for a scorekeeper?
I'll keep score.
Okay.
Got everybody?
I do.
Okay. Now, if you know the answer, just be the first to raise your hand. All right?
Which team is which?
Okay. We'll put,
Which is team 1 and team 2?
We have
One. You're 1? Yeah. Okay.
team 1.
Ooh, number 1.
All right, are we ready? Team 1, are you ready?
Yeah.
Team 2, are you ready?
Yep.
All right. This first question, okay? This question is actually worth 2 points because it's got a visual to go with it. Kind of like Jeopardy, you know, where Jeopardy has a video daily double. We got a double point question here, 2 points. What is this? This box has a name. What is the name of this box? What do we call it? Is it A, go box, B, stop box, C, hold box, or D, none of the above?
Don't help them.
We get negative points if we say the wrong thing?
No. None of the above?
Yeah.
No.
Is it B?
No, it's not a stop box.
C?
No, it's not a hold box. Give her 2 points. Yeah, that's a 2-point question. Yeah, that's the next question.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now that we have established that this is called a go box, G-O, what does G-O stand for? Is it A, golf outing, B, God's organization, C, gospel opportunity, or D, Gopher orphanage? B, no.
C.
C, gospel opportunity. Because every, 1 point. Because every shoebox, every box that somebody gets of these is a gospel opportunity for the child. Question number 3. See if you've been paying attention. This was gone over before. Operation Christmas Child began in what year? 1988, B, 1993, C, 1995, or D, 2000?
A.
No.
C.
Who raised their hand first?
Emma. C.
No.
B.
1993, correct. Okay.
Team 2. Team 2. Team 2. Come on, guys.
I feel
Okay.
your support, Dad.
Question number 4. Okay, so it began in 1993. Which country was the recipient of the first shoe boxes? Was it A, Russia, B, Yugoslavia, C, Bosnia, or D, all of the above?
C.
C, Bosnia, correct. All right. All right, question number 5. Where did the idea of OCC originate? What country? A, United States, B, Great Britain, C, Italy, or D, Canada?
A.
No.
B.
B is correct, Great Britain.
Roll down.
Storming back.
All right. Catching up. Next question. Since the first shoe boxes were sent in 1993, how many total shoe boxes since 1993 have been packed and shipped to children all over the world? Is it A, 2 million, B, 23 million, C, 59 million, or D, 124 million? Who's first?
C.
C, no, incorrect.
B.
Incorrect.
D.
D, correct. 124,160,933 to be exact. Okay, coming local here. Rivermont Avenue Baptist Church, since we began processing shoe boxes here from this very church, how many have been processed through Rivermont Avenue Baptist Church? A, 428, B, 257,000, C, 72,000, or D, 152,000?
D.
Who's first?
You did right. C.
No, it's not C.
Is it D?
D, correct. 152,679.
Way to go, church.
Which would fill Liberty's football stadium. How many? You know?
20,000.
So about 20,000. So that would fill it a lot. Several times. Okay. Next question. What items do shoebox recipients like to receive more than any other items? A Penguins hockey puck. B, a Steelers football. C, a Pirates baseball. Or D, all of the above. D is correct. I had to throw that in there, sorry.
Yeah.
Since its inception in 1993, how many countries total have received shoe boxes? A, 17, B, 130, C, 299, or D, 301? Who was first?
D. Is it D?
No.
A.
No.
Actually.
B is correct. 130 questions. But we don't get to 130 countries every single year. But over the total of 22 years now, we've touched 130 countries. Okay, see if you've been paying attention. Which of the following items cannot be put into a shoebox? A, anything with Cleveland teams. B, hard candy. C, chocolate. Or D, all of the above can be put into a shoebox. Who was first? Who raised their hand?
Is it C?
Chocolate, right. Chocolate melts.
Yeah, I know this one because I've packed everything.
Okay, next question. A donation is requested to be placed in every shoebox to cover shipping. How much is this donation? Is it A, $7, B, $12, C, $20, or D, $100? Who had it?
You go first. A.
A, $7 is correct. Okay, next question.
I feel the support.
If you were to go to the post office and send this shoebox to Rwanda, since Alex is, we'll say Rwanda since Alex is from Rwanda, how much would the post office charge you? Would it be A, $10.99, B, $20.58, C, $30.87, or D, $66.25? Who's first?
Is it C?
No. D, correct. It would cost you $66.25 to send a shoebox to Rwanda. But we can send it to anywhere in the world for $7. Talk about a bargain. All right, this is time for another double point question. See if you've been paying attention. So, this is a visual. That's why it's double points.
Doesn't have to do with the Steelers, does it?
It might. Okay, I'm covering up the top of this because if I let you see the top of this, it would give away the answer. So, what is this part right here. This goes into every shoebox, okay? And it is for an opportunity for the kids to learn about Jesus. What is this item called? A, the greatest journey. B, the greatest team is Pittsburgh. C, the greatest gift. Or D, none of the above.
She already had her. Is it A?
No.
What?
No, it is not the greatest journey. Who's next?
Wait, I'm not sure. I think he was next. It's the greatest gift.
Correct, the greatest gift. 2 points. All right.
Someday. I'm going to ask you.
Okay, another thing. What also cannot be put into a shoebox? Is it A, anything with Philadelphia teams? B, liquid soap? C, bar soap? Or D, all of the above can go into a shoebox? Who was first? Liquid soap cannot go into, any liquid, as a matter of fact, cannot go into a shoebox. Okay, next question. We'll go with the same theme. What else cannot be put into a shoebox? A, anything with Dallas Cowboys. B, toy trucks. C, army or military items. Or D, all of the above can go into a shoebox.
Everybody had their hands right there. He did. Before you asked the question.
Military items.
Correct. All right, next question. What well-known person has been the organizer of OCC? Is it A, Uncle Si from Duck Dynasty? B, Greta Van Susteren? C, Franklin Graham? Or D, none of the above? C, Franklin Graham is correct.
Yeah, he closed. Yeah.
Okay.
He really did. Oh gosh, we have a tie now.
Oh. You want to do, how many more questions do you have?
We got about 4 more, I think.
We can still have a tie. That's
I have a tiebreaker in mind. How many year-round volunteers work with OCC year-round? A, over 9,000. B, over 15,000. C, over 200,000. Or D, 338. 9,000, very good.
We have a new leader.
Okay, how many seasonal volunteers, okay, extra volunteers are needed for this upcoming season here in the next month or so. How many seasonal volunteers work with OCC? Is it A, over 9,000, B, over 100,000, C, 412, or D, over 1 million?
Okay, she had her hand up first. Is it D?
No.
Next.
No.
Gosh, now I don't know where to go.
B, over 100,000 volunteers.
Okay, we are tied.
All right, coming down. Animals are used, you've seen the big shipping crates that are yay big. Animals are used to help transport some of these shoe boxes to their final destinations. What kind of animals are used? Is it A, cats including tamed lions, tigers, and pumas? B, camels, yaks, and llamas? C, all of the above? Or D, none of the above? What? B is correct. Camels, yaks, and llamas. All right, 2 more questions. This is come down to the end here. Question number 20. What could Tom Brady put into a shoebox? A, one of his Super Bowl rings. B, a Tom Brady bobblehead. C, a deflated football. Or D, none of the above.
B.
B. Actually, I'm giving this whatever. You can put all the questions right. Last question.
Okay.
What is the purpose of this OCC? Is it A, so needy children can have the same feeling of joy that our kids get when they receive Christmas presents? B, because it makes you feel good to give needy people something for Christmas? C, because lifting and moving these shoe boxes and crates is good exercise? Or D, to give children what may be the only opportunity in their lifetime to know that there is a God who loves them and that He's seen Jesus to be our Savior?
D.
Correct.
For the win!
Jim, what do they get for their prize?
For lunch and shirts and classes. Shirts. We have books or a mug or a tumbler. Copy that. You guys get your choice of books here.
There you go. Thank you, guys.
You got it? Got it? Okay.
Okay. Everybody sees a bunch of these unfolded shoe boxes sitting around on their table. We're going to have, who can fold one of these to end up looking like this the fastest?
No, oh no. How many you can fold up in like 2 minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. How many can you fold up to look like this in 2 minutes?
Oh my God.
They have to stay together.
Oh, yes, and they have to stay together.
Wait, can we get some over here?
Yeah, if you want to get some, get some. Yeah.
Where are they?
Here on the table. Oh, don't start yet. You can't start. We got
Don't start
time.
No cheating.
I'll start it.
Not cheating, but we're starting.
You'll grab a towel. You're on the table.
I got two. How many? I know how to do this. Kelly and I had a.
Okay.
Alex is getting ready.
Oh, Alex is
He's folding it, he's getting it bended.
Oh, I got three. Just kidding.
All right, here you go.
Okay. I might have to stand up.
Are you going to?
All right, right over. All right,
Tell us to start.
Is everybody ready?
I think they're past ready.
Who is not ready? All right.
Ready? Ready?
Who is ready? Here we go. And 3, 2, 1, go!
Mary Alice, you can do it. Mary Alice already had a kid made.
Do it.
Y'all better hurry up. David. Counting on you, David.
Minute 30.
Need a box. How many more can you do? How many?
Keep going. How many can you make?
Okay, there's one.
Looking good, looking good.
One minute. 1 minute remaining.
Usually for this there we go. That's one.
Seconds. 30 seconds remaining. Get those straps folded.
Go, Jack.
You can do it, Jack. I can do it. This one, Jack. I can get this one.
15.
Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beep. How many have done at least one? All right. Let me see. How about anybody do 3? Everybody stand up and did 3. Okay, 3. I see some, looks like somebody did 5. Did somebody do 5? Keep standing if you did 5.
I'm not standing. Okay.
How many people we have? 1, 2. Who else did 5? We have 2 people that did at least 5. How many do we have over here? How many did you do?
Oh, I don't know, I just was doing it.
Oh, did you do all those?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Probably 5.
How many do you back there? 4? Okay.
And Jack did 4.
Jack did 4. Who all did 4? We have 3 people do 4.
Okay, give them all 3.
And we'll go and give all of you a prize. We're not sure how many got here.
Yep.
Okay.
One did 1.
All right, stand up if
tell
you
them what
did
they
4
won.
or 5. So Jim can give you a prize.
Raise your hand, man. We have a few of them. Jack, this young lady right here, and Emma, and Preston.
You should.
I should know that. I'm old Preston. First thing you got to never
Joe's done a good job getting everybody stirred up, so now we're gonna have to kind of calm back down.
That's funny.
For every shoebox that we pack, we know that that's going to a child someplace, somewhere. We may never hear back from that child if we put a letter in there, but we know that the purpose of sending this box is to share the gospel. So there's a young man with us today whose journey started with a shoebox. So let's welcome Alex to the stage.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you. It's been fun to play those games, and you know what? I've put together those boxes, and every time I feel like I do it differently. So 2 years doing that, and I'm still learning. It's not an easy one. But thank you all for being here and giving me this great opportunity to share with you what the Lord has done. And as I share my testimony with you, my prayer is that you can see not me, but you can see the power of God. That you can see your life through the testimony I'm about to tell you, and to show that this is God working, and that was just not me at all. I just happened to be given this opportunity to carry His wondrous word to tell it. I was born and raised in the country of Rwanda, and many of you may even wonder where in the world is Rwanda, or where on the map is Rwanda. So let me get this map real quick. So Rwanda is a very little country. You can't even see it from where you're sitting right now. Yeah. So Rwanda is right there. So Central East, tiny little country. And so last year, the country got 126,000 shoeboxes, 896. So all those children, that's 126,896 children that got a chance to hear the gospel in Rwanda. And so because of all the people that packed, thank you so much. Yeah. And so, very little country, but Rwanda was colonized by 2 countries, Belgium and Germany. As many you know that Africa, a lot of the countries were colonized, so during our colonial time, the people of Rwanda were divided in tribes, and were divided in Hutus, Tutsis, and Twa. Now, they would pick up, when they were trying to figure out what tribe you were, they would literally pick a ruler, and I would measure the length of your nose. And I would say, if you have a very pointy nose and you're very tall and you're very slim, that means you're a Tutsi. Excuse me. And if you're very short and very muscular build, kind of like a football player, that means you're a Hutu. So things are made up to divide the people of Rwanda. So after this division happens, they created tensions between the Hutus and the Tutsis. But the other tribe was the Twa tribe, and they represented 1% of the population. And so hatred happened, and over the years, this hatred continued to grow and grow. So when we got our independence and we got our first president, the first president was a Hutu. And so the government was run by the Hutu, and so that hatred had continued to grow to the point where in 1994, the big genocide that you've heard of, that was when the president of Rwanda was assassinated. And from then, the Hutus, majority of the Hutus were told, you need to go and start taking out all the Tutsis because they're not humans. They're cockroaches, they're tall trees. Those were the ideology they were using to dehumanize the people of Rwanda. So at this point, I'm 6 years old, and I'm living with my grandmother, with my two uncles, and my little brother and my older sister. So we're living in the suburbs of the capital city, about 20 minutes drive. And while we're there, we wake up in the morning on April 7th, and we hear these noises. I can still remember vividly just counting bomb after bomb, but I had no idea. All I could hear was just explosions. And then we were about to go to our garden, and we just, typical morning, was about to leave the place, to leave the house, and all of a sudden our neighbor came to us and told us, hey, the president of Rwanda was killed last night, and you need to go and hide because there's roadblocks everywhere, and if you go anywhere, they might come and they might attack you. So we went. My grandmother all of a sudden had this, and she just panicked because she had survived all this hatred over the years because of the whole family were Tutsis, so she had faced all this hatred. And so she told us to hide, and we hid in our coffee plantation that morning, and it was late afternoon. We came back to our house, and while we're still seated at the house, and we closed all the doors, and all of a sudden we had noises around our house. And it had happened to be militias who had just come to our house, and they would tell us, all of us, to go outside and lie down. And we get outside, and they said, all of you children, you need to go back inside the house. So me and my brother and my sister went back inside the house, and that's when they would take my grandmother's life. And I would be wondering, why in the world would these people do this to us? These were not strangers. These were neighbors. These were neighbors we grew up with. Neighbors they were the type of neighbors that, I've used this analogy in the last month or so. They were the type of neighbors, let's say if I was baking cookies and my recipe called for 2 eggs, and I only had 1 egg and I did not have time to go to the store, they were the type of neighbors that I would go to their house to ask them for an extra egg. And so for me to, as a little boy, did not understand why in the world would a neighbor do that. And so eventually we had to, after that happened, we had 2 uncles in the house, and they were using these tactics of wiping out the young generation, but also taking out young children so that no Tutsis are raised up. And they were destroying families from the foundation up. So they came and were looking for one of my uncles who was known to be the head of the family. And they couldn't find him. 100 men came, couldn't find him where we had hid him. He was under the bed, so when they were throwing their stuff under the bed, they couldn't get to him because he pulled himself on the springs of the bed. And so they left. But 3 days later, 3 men with their weapons would come back to our house, and they would say, he is under the bed, let him get out. So we never knew who told them what he was. And so he hesitated to come out because he thought they were joking. And the last words he said were, please do not destroy the house. My children need a place to live. And so he came outside, and they would ask for his identity card. Now, at the age of 18 and older, you had to have this identity card, and this ID said what tribe you were. And so of course, if your card said you were Tutsi, no question. And if your card was you were Hutu, they left you alone. But of course, they would also take his life and would go and ask for a watch he was wearing, so at least we can remember him. they would point weapons at us, and then we'd just be quiet. Then they would leave. Now we're left with one uncle now, we're in tears, we're wondering, we're just so confused. And the other uncle would leave us alone in the house, and he would leave, he'd come back in the evening, and we would wonder why he would be doing that. But little did we know that he would actually go, and he would surround the house, kind of protect us a little bit, and he would find these men who were trying to come back to the house, and he would stop them, and he would go and he would buy them beer, and when he had no money left, he would come to us and he would tell us to run. Now you may be wondering, why didn't they come after him? Well, he was known to be kind of like the troublemaker in the family, which actually kind of saved us, because in the whole town they never suspected him to be a Tutsi, but he was, and so they would look for him. No, he would bribe them, and when he had no money left, he would come to us and tell us to run. So we ran into the city where our aunt lived. When we got into the city, that's when the water supply had been destroyed, and just life there was really difficult. Many people were using oil to cook, and our aunt and our uncle would send us to go and fetch water several times, because the adults could not go outside. They were more of a target, and so they would send us kids and would pretend to be Hutus so we can go fetch water. But my aunt and her husband came up with this idea of selling local beer in the living room, because about 19 people, all of us together were 19, so a lot of the extended family members had come from the villages and were with our aunt's house in the city. And so they needed to do something to support the family, and that's when they decided to sell local beer. And I've joked many times that they were selling banana moonshine in their living room, because it's a beer made out of bananas that many people in Rwanda make. So they would come, these men would come in the living room, they would buy what they wanted and they would leave. But one day a man one of the militias managed to make it into the backyard where our whole family were, and he would take his weapon and he would go and load, and in the process of doing so, he's yelling at us. And we're looking at him, we're scared, and he's yelling at us, and all of a sudden, in the process of loading, his weapon jammed, and his magazine fell out. And in the process, and all his ammunition just shattered all over the ground. So he's wandering, and he's scrambling to pick up and reload, and then my cousin sees what's happening. She was coming in the backyard, she runs back into the house and calls the dad, and when the dad came, he asked the guy, "What are you trying to do with my family?" And the guy said, "I was just joking, I was just playing around." But he wasn't there to play. If his weapon would have been loaded, I wouldn't be standing in front of you today. So the city continued to get worse. Eventually we had to pack up everything we owned and we had to run. And we ran for a period of 2 months. And while we were running, there were so many incidences that happened that we could have lost our lives, that really the Lord was protecting us. But in my life, everything that's happening right now is coincidence. And so, but there's one moment that God saved our lives that I will never forget. And this moment was when I was running. I heard a noise coming from a distance, and I did not know what this noise was. This noise was getting louder and louder and close, and getting closer and closer, and all of a sudden, that noise, I slipped and fell to the ground, and that noise missed my head by an inch. And only to realize that that noise was a bullet and missed my head, because I had slipped in a cow pie. And that's what the Lord used to save my life. I never thought I would be telling people that God used the cow pie to save my life. I don't tell that to gross people out. If you've ever worked on a farm or you grew up on a farm, you know how that nasty that is. But I tell that to show the power of God. A God who uses something very insignificant. Our God is a very humorous God. He serves in the powerful ways, very mysterious ways, but also he works in gross ways. Sometimes we just don't want to see the gross part. So next time you see something like that, always remember God can use anything. Even a red and green box filled with so many items that many of us can take for granted. And so, but eventually we were taken to a camp, and then once the genocide was ended, we were with our aunt, and our aunt and her husband got sick, and in about 6 months period, the husband passed away, and the aunt turned for the worse. She decided to put my brother and I in an orphanage, when we got into this orphanage, we were about 250 of us living in a facility that was built for 60 people. So the orphanages were really, really crowded. Over 400,000 orphans were left by the war in the whole country, and about 1 million people lost their lives. And this genocide didn't take years. It only took from April 6th to July 4th. That's approximately about 100 days, about 3 months, that 1 million people were lost. And so we're in this orphanage. We could not see our lives beyond the orphanage. And many of us, now that we're not running physically, our bodies were not running on adrenaline anymore because we were so scared. Now that we're not running, our minds were running. So in the night, you can imagine what was happening. And so kids, to go to bed in the night was so scary because of the kids just reliving what they had just seen. But one day, we were told to line up in the yard, and they said today is a special day. Today you're going to get a gift, and this gift came from America. And so we could not fathom that a gift coming from that far. We couldn't even think our lives beyond the orphanage, so let alone a gift, came from America. So we lined up. I was 7 years old at this point, and so we lined up, and they started to hand out these gifts. And they told us, do not open them until all of them have been handed out. Now, for us who were 7-year-olds, having to hold our presents for about 5 minutes for the rest of the boxes to be handed out, that's torture for a 7-year-old, I tell you. Try that on Christmas morning and see if it works for your children. But we were able to open these gifts, and all of us were just screaming out of excitement. Screaming not because someone was chasing us, but screaming because we could not contain our joy. And I remember as I looked through my gift, we were just sharing, and some of us are bragging what we got. And I looked through the shoebox, and I saw the school supplies, the hygiene items, and the toothpaste, the toothbrush, the little soaps, and there was this little paintbrush, and just water paint that in an oval-shaped little thing, as many of you can probably know. And then there was these little bounce balls and these toy cars, and some socks and some underwears. I mean, so many cool stuff that I'll never forget. But now, we had just received a gift for the very first time in our lives. Now, to receive a gift for your first time, there's so many items that also were mystery to us. We had no idea what they were. One of them was Smarties for me. We had no idea what Smarties were. With those little candies that look like little pills. If you separate them, they're twisted on the end. So, no wonder if you went to a pharmacy and you bought some medicine, they would wrap it the way Smarties were wrapped. The only difference was the Smarties were different color. So we thought the Smarties were medicine, we would throw them back in the box. But of course, you have some of those curious George. We'll take one of them and we'll eat one and find out it's candy, so nothing would happen to them. And then the rest of us would eat ours too. But another favorite item was a hair comb. I kept this hair comb for the next 3 years everywhere I went. And then my favorite item of all the items in the shoebox, at this point it was just something red and white. This thing did not smell good, it did not feel good at all. So I ate this item with the plastic on it. I didn't know whether it was edible, so that was another risk I was taking. So that was my first time eating a candy cane. So now, you have no idea what a candy cane is, so I ate with the wrapper on it and all. But only to realize it tastes better without the plastic on it. But up to today, so you can imagine, up to today, every time I say candy cane, what do you remember? My Operation Christmas Child gift. A gift that really, in that moment, God was using to plant seeds of hope and love in my life. The orphanage director took on to share with us about Jesus Christ using that shoebox. But everything did not sink in that moment. So it was a year later when I got to go to Uganda, and I was traveling with the choir, with African Children's Choir, and I'm sitting in Uganda and I'm asking myself, why me? For 3 months, all this horror took place in Rwanda, and I walked right through it. Why me? Why did I survive this genocide? I never doubted the Bible wasn't the word of God at all. I knew because of my little faith that my grandmother had, since she wasn't there anymore, that little faith was gone. So right now, my little faith is starting to be rekindled, and I'm asking, why me? And I'm reading the Bible, and it would say, we're all created in the image of God, and God sent His Son Jesus Christ to die for us on the cross. So I would ask myself, and I would really, really ask these questions. If there's a God who cares for His children, why would He watch while 1 million of His children are being killed? A God who would send His Son, Jesus Christ, to die for His children, why would He watch while that happened? And if He loved me personally, on a personal level, why would He watch while my grandmother and my uncle being taken away from me? The only people who were left. You see, my biological mother had passed away due to HIV/AIDS when I was little. And I never knew my dad, and up to today. So the only people who were left to take care of me were my grandmother and my uncle. And so I was so lost. And I will never forget reading the Bible, and I'm asking these questions. And at this point, I did not know the Israelites. I did not know who God was talking to when He wrote these words. But I just want to give you the context that I read this verse in. Is just that I was 9 years old, searching for something to put hope in, something to grab on. And I'm so glad actually that's when He said to really reveal Himself to me. But these are the words that I read one day. It says that, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans of welfare and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. Then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will hear you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart." That's Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11 through 13, where God is talking to Jeremiah to speak to the Israelites. And for the very first time, I started to study the Israelites' life. And I started to see that their journey, my life, paralleled their journey. And for the very first time, I looked back and realized there's so many miracles that I had considered coincidences. When I was born, my mom had AIDS. I could have gotten the virus, but I didn't. When my grandmother and my uncle were both taken away from me, the distance was from that piano to where I am. There wasn't any wall to shelter me from what was going on. They were taking all the children. When I was running, and when a man would come to take our lives, and they wouldn't find me in the room, when that man's weapon didn't load, there wasn't an explanation why his weapon jammed. When I was running and I slipped in a cow pie, just a split second, that I would be gone. When I went to an orphanage and I received a gift that really reminded me that I was special, that someone was thinking about me, that I was loved. Why did Samaritans first care about at all come to Rwanda? Why did those people pack those boxes? And why do you pack boxes today? Those are some questions I continue to ask me myself later. And so for the very first time I saw God's presence, and that's when I gave my life to the Lord, because I could not ignore that anymore. And for the following years I just lived in bondage. I traveled with the United States. I traveled the United States with this choir, and then went back to Rwanda in 2000. But while I was traveling with this choir, many people were showing me that love of Jesus Christ daily. And I will never forget when one of the chaperones came to me and said, "Alex, what happened in your life that you're able to be here today?" And as I shared my testimony for the very first time, and I remember just feeling so good and it was so therapeutic to talk about it. And then I wanted to talk about it even more and more. But then they asked me a question that I will never forget. And that question was, "Alex, what if you would sit with the person who has caused you the most pain in your life? What would you do?" And that's when I really started to struggle a lot. I would read the Bible. The more I read the Bible, the angrier I got, because it confronted with what was in my heart, and that was the anger towards the people who had committed those crimes upon my family. And so I would ask myself, why would you love a person who did all that to me? Because I was just, 6-year-old innocent boy. Why would you love them as much as you love me? So it took me a long time to accept that. So that's when I started to pray, "Lord, help me heal them. Help me heal to the point where I can sit with that person who has caused me the most pain." And so as I'm praying this prayer, it's a 12-year prayer, and within these 12 years, that's when I would return to Rwanda after the choir. Then in 2003, God would provide me with an opportunity to come to the US to be adopted into a family in Minnesota. Of all places, that God would send me Minnesota. He has a sense of humor too. I already remember that. Yeah. From Rwanda, where it doesn't get below 60 degrees. No, it doesn't get 60 degrees. 55 at least. Probably 55 is the lowest I've ever experienced in Rwanda. To actually 30 below zero in Minnesota. So, but as I was going through high school and college, in high school back in Minnesota, people were packing boxes, and I wanted to find out. I got involved because student council in high school was packing boxes. Then when I went to college, I took on the project in my school, and I had no idea though. All I knew was that you pack a shoebox, then you drop it off at a church like this one, which is a collection center. Something happens in the middle, and then a child receives one. That's all I knew. So for many years, from 2004 all the way to 2009, that's all I knew. But in 2009, that's when I went to speak. I went to pray at the processing center to see what happens in the middle. When I got to that processing center, I saw thousands and thousands of volunteers working so hard to make sure that these boxes get to the children. I was so encouraged, and then I learned about the greatest journey, that it's the discipleship program. I went back to my school and we doubled the number of shoeboxes we're packing, because now I knew that the children are receiving the gospel of Jesus Christ very much so. And so encouraged through that. But one of my favorite nights of college was when we would invite students. They would tell them to bring an item. We would do a parking party. So they bring an item, we get some boxes, and I would go online. Posters and all these materials would be sent to me to my school. And then we would just have everyone come together, would make some hot chocolate, some popcorn, and then we would watch one of my favorite movies, a Christmas classic. Probably many of you can't wait to watch it again, Elf. Yeah. So we would watch Elf and we would pack shoe boxes, and then we just have a good old time. But we drop them off at the church, and then something happens in the middle. So when I learned what happened in the middle, actually, I want to show you what happens in the middle. If you are all year round volunteer with Operation Christmas Child, and you're in this room, please stand up. All year round volunteer, please stand up. Give them a hand. That's what happens in the middle, all year round. People packing boxes, encouraging other people to do so. And so we're thankful that many of you even pack shoe boxes, because they sure make a difference in kids' lives. But I want to share with you a part of my testimony that I was praying for. And I'm very careful how I share this part. So I was sharing with you how I was praying, Lord, help me heal to the point where I can sit with the person who has caused me the most pain. So when I finished college, I moved to Boone, North Carolina to do an internship with the ministry, and that's where I am today. But in 2013, after getting to know the ministry even more, I traveled to Rwanda with the ministry to deliver shoeboxes in the same orphanage I grew up in, and it was such a great moment and such a great experience. But while I was in Rwanda, this was the second time that I was pursuing an answer to that prayer. The first time, the only people who did not come to a meeting that the government had put together was the person who had killed my uncle and the person who had killed my grandmother. But on this trip, since I was in the country again, I tried, let me see if anything would happen. So I went out to the prison, and we only found out that the man who had killed my grandmother fled when he had about another case that came against him. He fled, and so no one knows where he is. But the man who had killed my uncle was still in the prison, and a process that would have taken about three weeks. We were able to meet with him in about 3 hours, and that process was just one of the toughest days of my life. And as we sat there, and I found myself sitting with this man and asking him, do you remember me? And he would say, I don't remember it specifically, but I remember 3 children being there. And he said, especially the older girl. Who was the older girl? My sister. And in that moment, I would lose it. But as I heard the other side of the story, my prayer was always, Lord, I want to hear the other side of the story. And the toughest to hear, the toughest day of my life, March 15th, 2013, but also the most freeing day of my life. Because that anger that I had over time, I was able to lift it off my shoulders. But why do I share this with you? I'm very careful on how I share my testimony with anybody. I don't want people to see, oh, look at Alex, what he did. But this is why I share my testimony with you. Psalms 105, verse 1 through 6 says, "Oh, give thanks to the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people. Sing to him, sing praise to him, tell of all the wondrous works. Glory in his holy name. Let the hearts of those who seek the Lord rejoice. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his presence continually. Remember the wondrous works that he has done and his miracles and judgment that he uttered." I tell that part of my testimony to show you the wondrous work that the Lord has done, not only in my life, but in your life too. In the lives of these children who are receiving these shoe boxes. Because we may never get a chance to meet all the children who have received these shoe boxes. But let me tell you that God is using that little gift to really communicate his love to the children. And I tell that to give him all the glory for what he's done and what he continues to do. And as you pack those boxes, you pack that love yourself. My prayer is that you yourself believe in that love of Jesus Christ yourself, because it would be so sad to miss out the opportunity to see the other side of the story, to see all the children who have received your shoe boxes. You pack them on this side of heaven and you miss out on the results. That's my prayer, that each and every person in this room will be able to stand in glory and see all the children again. We'll be able to have this meeting again, everybody in this room. But also, pray for those children. Pray for them, because your shoebox may be the only time that they'll hear about Jesus Christ. And what an opportunity that is. So thank you, and may God bless you.
One of the problems of the modern world is that we are inundated with news from all over the world, and most of it's bad. And there are times when we just want to turn off the television, unplug the computer, crawl into a hole, and pretend that none of that stuff is happening. That's understandable. There are points where it just simply overwhelms, and you just got to back away. But after what you've heard tonight, I would simply suggest to you that despair is not the answer. Yes, the problems in the world are bigger than any one of us, or all of us together, can begin to tackle. For every Alex, there are many other kids who die, who don't get the chance, who don't get the shoebox. The story often ends in sadness. And we can't change that. You cannot save every child, but you can save one. You can't send a shoebox to every orphan, but you can send one. And you will never know until someday, perhaps in heaven, Jesus will tell you with his own mouth, or some person that you have never met will look you in the eye and say to you, because you sent that shoebox, because you prayed that prayer, I am here today. So do not despair. We are not in control, but God is.
Okay, so we want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, but here's the final words. This is our call to action. Call to action on your tables is these bookmarks or daily prayer reminders. You can pray Sunday through Saturday. Prayer is the most important thing you can do for Operation Christmas Child. This time of year, we really need to pray for logistics, because I showed you tonight how many people's involved in getting it from point A to point B. So pray for the logistics. There's plenty of these on your table, and there's more on the table over here. The next thing we had you do tonight was we had you make up shoe boxes. So we want you to take shoe boxes as you go home tonight. I encourage you, if you think you're close to being done at church, some churches start early and they're wrapping up about now. Some churches are just now getting started. We encourage you to take shoe boxes and continue to do shoe boxes right up into collection week, which is November 16th through the 23rd. Again, the handout with the locations and the times are on the table over there. Feel free to take one of those, but every shoebox you do is one more child that'll get an opportunity to hear about Jesus. Next is volunteering at the relay centers that we mentioned earlier, and right here at Rivermont, we need volunteers to help out. That's to log the boxes in as they come, help them get in cartons, get rubber bands on them, get them in cartons, get them loaded on the trucks. And then again, there's also volunteer opportunities at the processing centers at Boone, Charlotte, and this year we have one at Baltimore. So you can go online and register to get an opportunity to work at the processing center. And then finally, we're always looking for more year-round volunteers. Kelly is a year-round volunteer for the collection center. Joe is a year-round volunteer for media. Jackie's back here with Relay Center in Bedford. Got some folks over here. It's an area coordinator from down in Rocky Mount area. I'm church relations. There's also community relations and prayer coordinator positions. So I have a sample application if you'd like to see what that looks like. It's not very detailed, but we're always looking for more year-round volunteers. So we challenge you tonight as you leave to think long and hard about God, what God would have you do with the message you heard tonight. We do appreciate all of you coming, and I'd like to close us in a word of prayer. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you tonight. We thank you that people gave their time up this afternoon to come listen to Operation Christmas Child program. Lord, we thank you for the travel mercies that have been extended to Alex and the graciousness of those who have met him and to listen to his story. And Lord, to call us to action, to realize that he is an example of one child that can make a difference. Lord, we know that you gave it all when you put your son on the cross, and he stayed on the cross being obedient to you. And Lord, let us never forget that the purpose of Operation Christmas Child is to spread the gospel. Matthew, we were challenged to go forth and make disciples, Lord, and that's what we are encouraged to do. Lord, we thank you for all the time and the talent and the finances you give to us, and let us make good use of those and what you have us do to spread your word and grow your kingdom. In Jesus' name, amen.